tip out that we blasted off is going to take 1.5 to 2 hours to clean out, and that'll be the last of the road work.
Copy, you're planning on opening it then after you clean the...
It's unique. It's quite a challenge. It's probably one of the most interesting road openings in the United States, especially for the National Park Service.
A unique experience and opportunity for people to be in the mountains and feel like they're in a very wild place, yet be on a two-lane roadway.
Before we think we'll be open before we get out today.
This road is the backbone of the park.
For just again verifying, so probably opening maybe between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock?
It'd be a good guess right now and then.
It's a road cut out of rock and each spring cut out of snow.
The Going to the Sun Road travels through the heart of Glacier Park. More than 1 million acres were set aside, and on May 11, 1910, Glacier Park was created. The first superintendent of the park, William Logan, promised a road to connect the east to the west. By 1924, construction of the lower road was underway, but the steep approach to 6,646-foot Logan's Pass still needed to be engineered. In September of that year, a survey crew tried to find the best route. Equipped with only transits and ropes, they raced against the approaching winter to map a 21-mile path over the Continental Divide. Men hung over cliffs, dangled by ropes, and walked along narrow ledges once reserved for mountain goats. The work was not for the weak. In only 3 months, the crew suffered a 300% turnover.
It's historic, you know. Our grandfathers built this stuff, and it's something that we should treasure.
But in the end, the final design was set. The Sun Highway would have just one major switchback, the Loop, as it is known today. It takes more than just teamwork to open the road. It takes courage and a sense of tradition.
Just like a lot of the guys up here, it just becomes part of you. You know, it just becomes a part of you. And then getting to do this kind of work that only a handful of people down through the years have ever gotten to do, I feel very, very privileged.
Winter lives in these mountains for more than 7 months of the year. It is not until April when the winter snow turns to spring rain. Once the snowbanks start to melt and recede from the valley floor, 2 road crews of Glacier Park, one from the east, the other from the west, began planning their assault on the nearly 50 miles of Trans-Mountain Highway. They will meet more than 2 months later on top of the Continental Divide, 6,646 feet up at Logan Pass.
operate just like usual.
Just like
The workday begins before 7 a.m. with a morning meeting.
What can I do to help on this end? I'll get the trailer ready.
Okay, yeah.
The battle plan is set forth.
Then we could throw the tires out and drag the belts.
After plotting the day's strategy, the crew heads to the job site. High above the west headquarters, nearly 3,500 feet up the mountain, is the parking area for heavy machinery and the tons of snow pushed aside the day before. The crew wonders on the drive up if Mother Nature has erased yesterday's hard work.
Might be a foot of new snow and everything you've already done slides again. We have to start over again.
The day-to-day road clearing works like a well-orchestrated piece of music. Jim Dorman, the foreman of the West Side crew, is responsible for the safety and smooth operation of his team. Russ, Steve, and Charlie man the heavy equipment. Rick and Marshall, the watchmen, are on the alert. They play a big part in the road crew team, watching for avalanches and backing out equipment if there is trouble. The three main pieces of heavy equipment which allow the team to recut the road are a bulldozer, front-end loader, and a rotary plow. The bulldozer is used for clearing the first cut on the road, the Pioneer Cut. The dozer and its operator are most exposed on sheer 45-degree snow slopes.
Do a lot of praying. If you get in an area where it'll kick out from underneath you, you'll just plow and leave a big gob of snow on the outside edge, come back and get another blade full and push the first one over with the seconds.
The dozer creates a preliminary snow road and clears a path for the front-end loader to enter. The loader has a huge bucket that can remove 8 yards of snow, about the size of a Volkswagen Bug, with each scoop.
But the loader is more efficient where there's rocks. You get rocks into the reels of the rotary, it'll break the bolts, the shear bolts on it, and it breaks down then. So when in the rocky areas, we use a loader more.
Finally, the rotary is brought in to scrape aside the remaining snow, revealing pavement that hasn't been seen since last fall. Progress is marked not by mileage, but by reaching and besting old opponents. Today, it's a tight curve in the road, a large cliff wall in the rim rocks. In addition to plowing, members of the crew are also trained in the use of explosives. Each spring, they have to blast the snow wall here to prevent it from tipping out onto the road during the tourist season. Once it is open, it is drilled and loaded with explosives.
Total shot today will be 52 1-pound sticks and 660 pounds of ammonium nitrate.
Normally, under normal circumstances, using electric blasting caps, you don't have radios around explosives. Well, we're using what they call electric bridge wire caps that are non-sensitive to radio communications and electronic stuff. It only initiates under 3,000 plus or minus 10 volts. And so that lets us have radio communications around our explosives without being unsafe. And up here, radio communications are a must.
The most crucial thing is that everything is nice and tight and in good contact. We'll then, we have the leads on them long enough that they hang out of all the holes. We then take primacord and hook all of the holes together, and we'll tie them all together, run the dead cord down the hill, and we set it off with a single blasting cap.
Copy. Third fire.
Tradition with the plowing crew, we have certain places, that kind of mean something to us, and we have names of different places up here that are named for older guys that have worked here, come and gone many, many years ago.
In the 1930s, the million-year-old limestone that forms the Continental Divide was blasted to create the roadbed. Slowly, it was carved out of foot-wide goat trails. Each day, the original road crew had to climb from 1,200 to 3,000 feet. The width of the roadbed was 16 feet, with an average grade of 6%. It would follow the mountainside at the base of the massive garden wall, rising steadily and staying high to remain in the melting sunshine. The road was forged using mostly mules. Only a few modern machines were available. The modern road crew takes on the last major section of clearing and the most difficult pioneer cut in an area called the Big Drift. It has the steepest, most precarious slopes. It is here that experience counts the most.
We're just going to plow hell out of it.
This year, Russ will pass the baton of creating the pioneer cut to Steve.
And we have one crew member, our work leader, Russ Lant. This is his 34th season working on the Going to the Sun Road. It's wonderful that the crew members who work with him have a chance to learn from him.
This is a great crew. We've, over the years, most of us have been together for probably minimum of 5 or 6 years. Some of us been together for 20 years up here, and it's a close-knit crew. Everybody watches out for everybody else.
I did last year. I started too low, and I came in behind, and I couldn't get myself. Couldn't get back up.
Say about like here, though, what, 10 feet out?
I'd say maybe 10 feet from the cliffs. Snow is going to be at the deepest probably 55, 60 feet.
But heavy rain, low visibility, and frequent rock slides delay plowing of the Big Drift. The road is not visible, the snow depth not measurable when the dozer ventures out. Steve has only these log poles to mark the dangerous edges of the path. He must not only try to get a feel for the road, but also for any new crevices or holes that might exist. Any mistake on this sharp turn, and the only direction to go is down. At the corner, the east side lookout halts the plowing. He is concerned about some large holes behind the snow wall. Plowing the corner stops until the snow wall can be blasted.
Okay, all clear. We're going to shoot it off. Holler when you get the module unhooked, Peter.
I brought my radio phone. Like I said, I'm just going to go in the parking lot.
Peter said take him a little bit.
After the blast, Steve starts down the east side. The loader then helps clear on the west. The crew makes it look easy, but other park employees know the dangers they face.
I followed the bulldozer as they made the Pioneer Cut, and I was basically scared out of my mind because you're walking across the snowdrift. You can't even see where the road is, and it's a intense, U-shaped valley, and there's nothing between you on this little trail that you're kicking out with your feet and this U-shaped valley.
Well, as far as the road, yeah, we know the road real well, but never really know the mountain because it's always doing something.
Though their ultimate goal is to open the road, the crew's main priority is to watch out for each other.
And if we're not doing it safe, we're going to shut it down. It's that simple. We don't want anyone hurt at all. And what our objective is to open this road as fast as we can, knowing that the visitors come first, right after safety, and we're doing everything within our power to open the road in a safe, fast manner.
You guys move on up. I don't want you stopping in the slide area.
Avalanches, these cornices, at any moment in almost any spot in this road, between the rockfall, avalanches, and other items, danger is always present and we have to stay on our toes.
Weather is the single biggest challenge to opening the road and the crew's safety.
But the guys on the crew, and women too, spend long days with either intense cold or tremendous sunlight, watching for avalanches, and sometimes not knowing what's around the bend. And so there's a lot of uncertainty and inherent risk in the job that they perform.
And that's the big key to the whole thing here is the weather. The weather that we have while we're working on the road is what really counts. Snow, ice, rain, weather, wind, cold.
Unpredictable and ever-changing, the weather dictates the rate of progress.
Marshall, come on across where you can still see.
I wish people could come up then and see what it's like. When we can't see halfway up these slopes and these slides, and we keep working anyway as long as we safely can, the guys in the equipment, they're basically dry and warm. The guys like me and Marshall that are just standing on the snow slopes, we're exposed to the wind, and I just kind of look around every once in a while and I'll yell, "Is that the best you can do?" You can snow harder than that, you can blow harder than that.
Each new snow season has a character of its own, a reinvented opponent that provides a new challenge year after year.
The depth of snow will vary year to year. Avalanches will vary, the types of avalanches, what areas of the chutes they come out of, how they come out of it. So it's never the same.
We just seen snow formations up here that we've never seen. That Russ has been doing this since the 60s and he's never seen it like this. I think that it snowed deep before the ground up here actually got a chance to freeze, and it's just laying there. It never got a good chance to bond with the earth, and I think that's why we've had so many slabs break out this year.
Avalanches are inevitable in these mountains. The crew knows it's only a matter of fate if one will occur while they are working beneath an avalanche chute.
There's 15 to 18 major chutes, avalanche chutes, on this section of road that we work. But there's 72 avalanche chutes total, and any one of them can hurt you.
The first time it happens, you're just a little bit shaky because they do move quick, real quick. Sometimes it's 4 to 5 seconds, sometimes it's less than that. There's chutes up here further up around the bend that you might only have 2 seconds warning from the time you see it coming around a corner until it's on the road. That's not a whole lot of time.
In more than 60 years of spring openings, the crew has faced only a handful of serious accidents. The most serious was an avalanche in the spring of 1953. 2 park employees were killed, 1 injured seriously, and another buried for nearly 8 hours before being rescued. Technological advances have reduced risk and increased team productivity. New equipment has dramatically changed how clearing is done.
When I came on as a watchman, we stayed right with the piece of equipment, had a snowball ready in your hand, and if you seen an avalanche coming, you threw a snowball at the operator and the cat to get his attention to motion him backwards. Now with the radios and the communications that we got, your watchman can be a quarter of a mile away, which will give him a much better view of the situation he's watching for and still have direct communication.
Check, Steve. I'm clear.
Before each road season, there is spring training. Here they practice safety techniques like ice axe self-arrest, emergency response, and use of avalanche transceivers.
We have a little classroom session, and then we go into the field and actually do a probe line, beacon searches. In addition, we have ice axe training and belay training. The lookouts and people who have to advance ahead of the Pioneer dozer need to get out onto some pretty steep snow slopes.
You get it hammered in, this is how it's done and what's safe and what's not safe. And so by the time you're trusting somebody completely, you've worked with them quite a while.
In 1932, the Going to the Sun Highway was nearly finished. One major obstacle remained: a 405-foot tunnel on the east side. Today, it is the same area that has to be cleared before the road can officially open. While one crew prepares for the opening of the visitor center at the top of the pass, a second crew finishes the last day of road clearing at the tunnel. Tourists wait anxiously on a lower section of the road. It's now mid-June, and though the park officials know the difficulties experienced in clearing the road, pressure is on from local businesses and tourists to get the road open. The famous road, a historic landmark, is the sole reason many come to this park. The community relies on the money an open road brings. But as the road crew well knows, things don't always go as planned. Today, the first obstacle is a rock avalanche that slid during the night, knocking out part of a road railing. At the same time, blasting on the entrance to the east side tunnel does not go well.
Battery on the machine is dead. Hang on a minute, we'll have to change it. Fire in the hole. We're on low end. Fire in the hole. You got the key in it? Yeah. He's in, he's down. I can't get it out. Try the other machine. Battery's already dead.
And with it raining outside, that's probably what it is. It's probably a wire down there shorted out. He's coming back now. So.
Fire in the hole. Okay, well, wash. I mean, obviously, it's not the cap. We got it well tied. And that would explain the batteries going down. Yeah, not so far out. Not that far out. This way or that way? The other side of the arm there. You want to see what I can find? Oh, okay, it's shorting out again.
There is another obstacle. A large crack is now visible in the remaining snowbank.
No, we don't want to blow it if we don't have to. We don't want to blow it.
Jim calls Charlie to see if they need to blast again.
You think you can knock it down safely?
I'll start whittling it on this side.
Charlie attacks the wall of snow with the loader. But it is simply too large. They must blast one more time.
We've got the road cleaned for all the area except where we just made a blast. We blasted at about 1:45. The tip out that we blasted off is going to take 1.5 to 2 hours to clean out, and that would be the last of the road work.
Copy, you're planning on opening it then after you clean the tip out stuff off the road?
Yeah, we'll have to get that all cleaned up and everything before we can open it.
So we're estimating around 4 o'clock for an opening?
I'd hate to estimate, but before we think we'll get open before we get out today.
So far, just again verifying, so probably opening maybe between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock?
Now, what I don't want to do is have the road completely clean today and then just send someone up tomorrow to swing open the gate. So that's why I'm trying to hold you to a little more of a commitment on whatever we're going to notify the major division that it will be open this afternoon. I understand that, John. We're looking between 4 and 5, maybe a little earlier. We're also getting pretty heavy rains. I don't know. I don't expect any problems. That's the time I'm thinking.
4, copy that.
The crew and equipment make their way down the mountain as the gate prepares to open. They've spent months alone on the road. Now, in a matter of seconds, hundreds will enjoy the fruits of their labor. It was the fall of 1932 when the first automobile drove the 50 miles over Going to the Sun Road. Construction had taken more than 20 years and 3 lives. Before the Sun Highway was completed, about 40,000 people a year visited the park. After it opened in 1932, there were 5 times that many. More than 210,000 tourists came to Glacier the first year the road was open. Today, the road is generally open for about 5 months. During that time, more than 3 million visitors drive it each year. But those who know this place best believe the road is just a gateway.
If you just come through the road and you do a windshield survey, you really haven't seen the park. You really need to get out and see what it's all about. There's 700 miles of trail in this park.
Those who take advantage of the backcountry are treated to a pristine wilderness that can't be experienced on the roadside.
You see, there's nothing but you and the animals back there, and you're the only one left in the world. Very peaceful. It's gorgeous. You have to go back there to really capture the moment.
The backcountry of the park exists today much as it did when the first visitors arrived. The Blackfeet Indians inhabited this land more than 1,000 years ago. They crossed these mountains in search of buffalo. This land, rich in animal and plant life, was considered home of the spirits and inspired many to journey into the backbone of the world on vision quests.
Throughout this whole mountain, a lot of the older people, they would come up here and pray a lot. You know, they would seek the Creator. And so everything that you see, like the trees, the rocks, the mountains, they cherish everything.
Visitors find it easy to understand that spiritual link.
In West Glacier, it's very much, you know, you are dominated, it's west of the Continental Divide, you're dominated by that Pacific Maritime type climate. As a result, you're in a much more forested environment. Over here, we are very much dominated by a drier, sunnier climate. The fact of the matter is the road, if you begin in West Glacier, come up and over the Going to the Sun Road and end in St. Mary, you have basically, in that 50 miles, you've seen 5 different plant communities: cedar and hemlock, spruce fir, aspen. So you've got quite many different life zones that the road transects, and that just is very obvious. The striking difference is very obvious to visitors.
The Sun Highway spans these 2 worlds, providing a bridge over the Continental Divide, bringing east to west, rainforest to subalpine, man and nature together. One has the feeling of almost reaching the top of the world, just a step away from touching the sun. Eventually, the vacationers leave when the cold winds of autumn arrive. Soon, winter will reclaim the mountaintops of Glacier. Sealed off to rest in peace until next spring. The men who know the road best wait as well. In 60 years, the process is little changed. The same bends and cornices present the same risks. The cycle does not stop. Next year, a new crop of visitors will arrive. They too will have the opportunity to experience nature in its finest form. Because of the work of a small but dedicated crew of men and women who set to recut this road each year, each new visitor will have the chance to feel the spirit of the crown of the continent.
I'd really rather not talk about pressures.
Want to stay away from those?
I'd like to.
The best chances of survival for an avalanche burial victim is the people right on scene, and that would be the road crew themselves.
The fresh air, the outdoor living, outdoor job, it's the main reasons that have brought me back all the time.
Glacier was my first park. Coming back in my current capacity, it's so easy to be able to talk about the glory and the character of the Going to the Sun Road.
Have two.
There's no place to put it down in here without
Eat it. Stuff one in your mouth and hold the other one. There. Good man.
I personally spent a lot of years just working on this section of the road all summer long, early in the morning, and then especially in the fall when the traffic goes down. This is a pretty neat area.
In the mountains, on the prairies, on the lakes, it's just one big package that just is fresh all the time. Every time I drive through Glacier, I see something new, and that excites me.
I like roads because you're not in one, I'm the type that don't like to be in one place all the time, so we're all over and we get to see things like this first.
When I lived in Polson, which is 70 miles away, I'd come up here on my motorcycle every year, and at least 3 or 4 times in the summer I'd come up here and camp and ride this Going to Sun Road. It's always been one of my favorite places.
One thing I'd have to say about Glacier is not only is the scenery so beautiful, and the plants mean a lot to me. I'm a type of person that when I do alpine hikes, I see all these nice alpine plants that you see from year to year, and it's almost like seeing old friends again. It means I really like alpine plants. But one of the special things here about Glacier to me really is the people that work here.
Like the waterfalls and the mountains and the trees. Everything is natural. Everything, you know.
Even the days that I'm miserable, you know, the worst day that I've ever had here in Glacier Park beats the hell out of the best day I've ever had anywhere else.